Yo, what is up everybody? Welcome back to the channel. And today I have another Gundam TCG deck profile for you. Today we're going to go over my version of a Blue and White's Academy deck. And if you're new here and like this video, go ahead and hit that subscribe and like button for more Gundam TCG content. Alright, let's go ahead and get into this deck profile. So again, like I said, this is going to be a Blue and White deck, mainly focused around the Academy units and pilots. And I would say this is more of an aggressive deck that is trying to spam out a lot of characters or a lot of units and rush down the opponent's shields to zero. All right, and getting into the deck itself, we're going to be starting off with my favorite one cost unit. We have 3 copies of Demi Trainer. Demi Trainer is a level 1 cost 1/1 with blocker. Again, a great unit to get out early game to put some pressure on your opponent's shields, as well as late game to provide yourself with a little bit of protection. And next up, our first blue unit, we have 2 copies of Ball. Ball is a level 1 cost 1/1 unit with the attack effect. Choose one of your units and recover 1 HP. So another cheap unit to get out early in the game with the secondary ability to heal up some of your damaged units. So just an overall really solid card. And next up, we have 4 copies of Gun Tank. Gun Tank is a level 2 1 cost 1/2 unit. With the deploy, choose 1 rested enemy unit and deal 1 damage to it. Really good early game to deploy to pop one of your opponent's smaller bodies, or if you've done damage to a larger body and gotten them down to 1 HP, you can do the final blow by deploying Gun Tank. So a really good versatile unit. Yeah, 4 of really good unit. Now going into the main bulk of the deck, we're going to be going over the Academy units. And first up, we have 4 copies of Garibaldi. Garibaldi is a level 3 2 cost 4/2 unit, 4/2 Academy unit. With the deploy, choose 1 enemy unit with 1 HP and return it to the owner's hand. So really good to bounce your opponent's small blockers like a Demi Trainer to then push in some damage. Just really good control of the board and a really aggressive unit once we pair it with our pilots. And it does have a 4/2 stat, so if you do pair that up with any of our pilots, you'll be doing a minimum 5 damage, which will clear any base in the game. And our next unit, we're going to be playing 4 copies of Michaelis. And Michaelis is a level 3 2 cost 3/3 unit Academy trait and has the effect when there are 4 or more command cards in your trash. This unit gains +1/+1. So if you are able to use some command cards early in the game and get 4 into your trash, this will effectively be a 4/4 unit, which is really good. Yeah, and again, having that Academy trait will pair up really well with our pilots that we go over later. And next up, we have 3 copies of Gundam Ariel. Ariel is a 5/3, level 5 3 cost 3/3 unit. Links up with only Suletta Mercury, and we'll go over that pilot later on. And has the effect when there are 4 or more command cards in your trash, this unit's cost is reduced by 2. So if you are able to get 4 command cards into your trash, which that is one goal of this deck, is to use a lot of command cards, get them into trash, and then get some effects off. So effectively, if you are able to get those command cards into your trash, this will be a 1 cost unit. So just a really cheap, decent statted unit to get out late game to be able to deal some damage. Not the best unit in the deck, but it does pair up with our Suletta Mercury, which does matter. So yeah, just an overall decent unit. And the final unit of the deck, we're going to be including 4 copies of Ailstrike Gundam. Ailstrike Gundam is a level 5 4 cost 4/4 unit. Pairs up or links up with Kira Yamato, has the blocker and the effect when this unit is paired up with a level 4 or higher pilot, you return a 4 HP unit to their owner's hand. So yeah, this is a really good card, a really good top end for this deck. And it does pair up with a few of our pilots, including Suletta Mercury, that we're going to go over. Just an overall really good card and one of the best cards in the set so far. And going into our pilots, our first pilot we're going to be including is 2 copies of Guel Jeturk. Guel is a level 3 1 cost 1/1 pilot. With the burst effect, add this card to your hand. He has the Academy trait, which does pair up with our main Academy Gundam, the Garibaldi and the Michaelis, which is really good. He also has the paired effect, activate main once per turn. If your opponent has 8 or more cards in their hand, set this unit as active. It can't attack this turn. That secondary effect, when it's paired up, you're not going to be activating that too often, as it's very unlikely that your opponent's going to have 8 or more cards in their hand. It's just not too feasible at this point in the game. Maybe later down the line, once we get more cards, your opponent might have more cards in their hand. But as it stands right now, usually 7 or less is kind of where hand sizes are at. So we're not playing this card for its secondary effect. The main reason why we're playing this pilot is to pair up with our Gundam here, just to provide that aggression that we're looking for in the deck. The next pilot we're going to be going over is the main pilot of the deck, and that is going to be 4 copies of Suletta Mercury. And Suletta is a level 4 1 cost pilot, +1/+2 with the Academy trait. She has the burst effect, add this card to your hand, and the paired effect, attack once per turn, choose one of your resources, set it as active. Now Suletta is the main pilot of the deck. She has the Academy trait, which pairs up with our Gundam here, as well as our Aerial, just to provide a lot of aggression. The secondary effect does come up quite often as well, just providing you extra resources on your turn to be able to play out more cards, which is really, really nice. Also, being a level 4 pilot does matter, as she can pair up with our Ailstrike Gundam to get that effect. Yeah, so just a really good pilot, and I wouldn't run any less than 4 Suletta Mercury. And the next pilot we're going to be going over is 2 copies of Kira Yamato. Kira is a level 4 1 cost 2/1 pilots, and the burst effect to add this card to your hand, and then the secondary paired effect, attack, choose 1 enemy unit, and it gets -2 attack power for the turn. Mainly Kira here is to pair up with our Ailstrike Gundam, but if you do pair it up with any of our other units, that secondary when attacking effect does come up a lot and is really effective in mitigating damage on your units to be able to survive another turn, which is really great. I would consider running more, but that's just personal preference. I think 2 is good. You could bump this up to 3, maybe even 4, depending on how you build the deck. But I think 2 is minimum for right now. And the final pilots of the deck is kind of a hybrid pilot and command card. So this will kind of lead us into the command cards that we're playing. And it's going to be 2 copies of Hawk of Endymion. This card is a level 2 1 cost command card as well as a pilot. So the command effect is the main and action. Choose 1 enemy unit with 3 or less HP and return it to the owner's hand. It also doubles as a pilot to give our units +1/+0. So it does have that versatility of being able to be used as a command card that we do want in our trash to get off some effects, but it can also double as a pilot to kind of help boost up some of our units. And one kind of aspect of this deck is controlling and bouncing enemy units to their hand to control board and gain tempo. And we'll go over some more command cards that we're running, but one main theme of the deck is bouncing cards and gaining tempo on our opponents. And the next command card we're going to be going over is 4 copies of Overflowing Affection. Overflowing Affection is a level 2 1 cost command card with the main effect, draw 2 and discard 1. Really good card, probably a 4 of in any white deck. It's just a good card to cycle cards, get new cards into our hand, and then get cards that we don't want into our trash. And with this deck, like we've gone over before, we do want command cards in our trash to get Michaelis' effect off and other effects like Gundam Aerial. Yeah, just a really good card. All right, and the next command card we have in our deck, we're going to be playing 4 copies of A Show of Resolve. Show of Resolve is a level 4, 3 cost, blue command card, has the main effect, draw 2. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Another staple in probably every blue deck going forward until they print more cards. But yeah, just a really good card mid to late game to refill our hand. And one big thing about this deck, with Suletta Mercury being able to restand a resource, is really efficient in getting us enough resources to be able to play cards like a Show of Resolve, as well as play down some other units. So you throw down a unit, throw Suletta Mercury under them, swing, restand, and now you have an extra resource to play out command cards like Show of Resolve or Overflowing Affection. So I think that's a really good synergy in this deck, is just being able to be super efficient with our resources. And the final command card of the deck, we're playing 2 copies of the Witch and the Bride. The Witch and the Bride is a level 5, 2 cost unit. It has the burst effect, activate this card's main. And the main / action effect, choose one enemy unit with 5 or less HP and return it to the owner's hand. So this is one of my favorite cards in the deck. Yeah, just it's more of a late game card because it is level 5, but being a 2 cost, it's pretty, I would say, fairly cost efficient. Just being able to bounce a 5 HP unit back to the owner's hand. This pretty much hits most things besides like Wing Gundam. But yeah, this hits most things in the game. So just a really, really good command card. It's just a little bit expensive, and bouncing sometimes isn't the greatest thing. But overall, I think it's a fantastic card. It does have having that burst effect as well as the action to be able to use this card defensively is really good. So I could see myself playing maybe one more copy of this, but you don't want to see this early game. This is a mid to late game card to kind of control your enemy's board. So yeah, good card. All right, and going into the bases of the deck, we're running 6 total bases, and 6 is kind of the sweet spot I'm finding right now. I think you could argue to run maybe 7 bases. I think once you get up to around 8, it's a little bit much. So I think 6 is a good place. You definitely don't want any less than 6, in my opinion. And our first base is going to be Astacacia School of Technology Earth House. And this is a level 2, 1 cost base. It has the burst, deploy this card, deploy, add 1 shield to your hand. Those are pretty standard for most bases. It also has the activate main, rest this base. All friendly linked units gain +1 AP for the turn. So a lot of our strategy of the deck is linking up our academy traded units with pilots. So this base kind of goes well with the deck in terms of boosting up our linked units to deal a little bit more damage. I will say this is a fine base. It's not the best base. That effect comes up sometimes, but not all the time. It's not the greatest, just +1 attack power. Most of the time we're getting through things that we want to get through with our units. Does come up every once in a while. Suletta Mercury only having the +1 attack does matter, so giving our linked unit with Suletta +1 more attack power does come in handy sometimes. And the final base of the deck, we are running 3 copies of White Base. And White Base is a level 3 2 cost base, 0-5 stats like most bases. Has the burst effect, deploy this card, and on deploy, add the top shield to your hand. White Base has a secondary effect, activate main once per turn. You pay 2 resources and you get a token. And depending on how many units you have on the field will determine what token you get. So if you have 0 units on your board, when you activate that effect, you get a 3/3 token. If you have 1 unit on the board, you get a 2/2 token. And if you have 2 or more units on the board, you get a 1/1 token. So the token scales with how big your board is. I think this is a really good base overall. Just to be able to have a constant unit on the board is really good. I would consider running 4 White Base and maybe cutting our other base down to 2. I think White Base is really good and really underrated. But yeah, I'm choosing 3 and 3 right now, but that can always change. All right, so that is the deck overall. Again, the main focus of this deck is to, one, play a lot of command cards and cycle through our deck to get these command cards into our trash to get certain effects like with our Gundam Aerial and our Michaelis, as well as just have a lot of synergy with our Academy traded pilots to be able to link up with our units to be able to apply a lot of pressure to our opponent's shields and bases. This deck also controls our opponent's board a lot. So while we're applying a lot of pressure with our units, we're bouncing and returning a lot of our enemy's units back to their hand. That way they have to replay them the following turn. So overall, I'm really liking this deck. I think it is really aggressive, and if your opponent slips up and misses one turn, you can punish them and deal a lot of damage to their shields. And if they don't have a base up, or if they don't hit one in their shields, you can easily win the game just outright. So yeah, this is a really fun deck, a really aggressive deck, and if that's your kind of play style, I definitely recommend something like this. I could see myself messing with some of the ratios. I think the Academy trait overall is a little bit underrated and maybe doesn't have the best units or pilots, but I think it has the most generic, just like generic versatility, and the fact that these units can link up with any Academy traded pilot is like really good. And I think once Academy gets some more support, I think this could be a really good overall meta contender. All right, so that is the deck profile for today. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section below your thoughts. Let me know if there's any changes you would make, or just overall thoughts on the deck or the game so far. And again, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button for more Gundam content. I'm going to be coming up with some more deck profiles in the future, as well as hopefully getting some gameplay of it as well. This is a really fun game so far, and I'm really looking forward to the beta events coming up later this month, as well as the set one release later in the year. And with that being said, take care and see you guys in the next one. Peace.